Hello, and welcome to another Wicker Biscuit.
Welcome.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
I kind of liked it.
Oh, well then we'll just keep on going, and
They
we'll...
still heard us
Keep
both.
on
That's fine.
trucking.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm out of practice.
Oh.
From last week.
Well, welcome everyone to another Wicker Biscuit. So let's start off like we always do with some introductions. First up, we've got...
We got Ryan right from work without taking a shower, so hopefully I don't stink.
Oh, no. We love it. We love it, Ryan.
Well, we'll ask Amanda her opinion.
But next up, we've got...
It's Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
And I can't smell anything.
Oh,
so
good.
we're good.
Okay. And then we've got, as a panelist today, we've got...
Lisa.
Hi,
on
Lisa.
the other side of the table from Ryan, so I can't smell him.
Oh, okay. Yep. And it's a small group because that's it. But of course, you've got your host, Gary. But yeah, it's going to be a small group, but it's going to be a good one. And I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag right now. This is our Father's Day episode. Meow, 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 says the kittens. So since not everyone was able to make it on this one, we're going to be having some segments that we'll be reading off from other people and just talking a little bit about their dads. Because even though they weren't able to make it, they wanted to spread the joy, the fatherly joy. I don't know.
Fatherly love.
Fatherly love, is that...
The seed.
That's not creepy, right? The
Seed.
Oh, dear.
I suppose.
See, and I'm still like, I've been listening to old episodes, so like, just the
The
way
seed of love.
just the way Lisa said the seed made me think of the Quaker Oats guy.
Of course.
And I'm like,
It's the right thing to do.
we have to go sow the seeds. Let the grain speak for itself.
Gross.
You know, I took early American Lit in college, and there were a lot of Quaker and stuff like that, poems and stuff very much like that.
Yeah.
We are but a crumb of dust in the Lord's blood. There was one that was about like how we are the pins in God's bowling alley. And like, I mean, it was from like
Oh.
the 1700s, but it's like,
They had bowling?
I guess.
so.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No kidding, right? I didn't know that.
I want to think that it was like toddlers were
Toddlers
the actual
bowling.
pins. That's what you knocked over.
Could be.
Oh boy. Yeah. So let me get back to now that we've done all the introductions, how's everybody doing? We know that Ryan had to work late, so we really, really appreciate you coming, even though I gave you a hug earlier and I didn't smell anything.
Oh,
so
good.
I think life is good.
I don't really think I would stink because I don't sweat too much, but like I would normally shower after a day like today.
Mm.
I didn't want to make y'all wait longer.
If I remember right, Carl can get a little sweaty at times, right?
Can't we all?
But he,
Well, yeah,
but he never
but he's-
stinks.
But he's the type that looks good after, like he's done with volleyball, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sweaty." I'm like, "You glisten, sir."
What, you don't think that it looks really cute when I have a tomato red face?
It does.
Like,
I'm just saying, I can't pull it off like
my
Carl
hair's
can.
all over the place. It's beautiful.
I just look like a, I don't know,
I look like a bright red tomato.
just a overly moist fatty is what I look like.
I look like a hippocorn, and I stand
Ooh.
by that.
Okay. I like it.
So you're cute.
I guess it could be interpreted that way when really I'm just sweaty and out of breath and very red.
Yeah, I got real red.
Yeah, you do, but that's
Mhm.
good.
It's not.
It's all right.
Like, I don't know any upside.
What else do we got going on?
What else do we have going on?
Yeah, just what's new.
Well, I don't know. Father's Day's coming up. That's
and that's what the
something,
episode's about. So
right?
sure.
So we have that.
Yeah, when this airs, Father's Day already would have happened, but that's
all right.
That's how we do it. So Father's Day will be this Sunday, and this is going to drop the Tuesday after.
Wicker Biscuit had a very successful booth at
Yes,
our
it
local
did.
Pride
Oh my God.
festival.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was really fun. Met a lot of good people. Had a lot of people.
One or two weird, interesting, rude people, but
Yeah.
it was all right.
Any sort of event like that, you get all kinds. And either way, I'm just happy to meet some of the public. Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was going to be rainy at first, and then it turned out to be a beautiful day.
Yeah, it was really beautiful outside.
My only regret was that Courtney didn't get to go to the drag show, but that's all right. She got to try Chipotle for the first time. So that was like an inadvertent pop and cherry that we didn't even wasn't even a part of.
No. How has
Yeah.
she never had Chipotle?
She's Courtney.
I've never had Chipotle.
Oh, my heavens.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But do you like that?
I don't mind it. Like,
Okay.
it's not like it's not on my wish list to
You know,
fix.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When we got a Chipotle, everyone was like, "We have a Chipotle now. We have a Chipotle," and I'm like, "So." But when I worked in an office, we ordered it once in a while, and I was like, "Oh, this actually is pretty dang good." But
I'm sure it is. I just
Yeah,
haven't gotten around to it.
and I mean, we had it for a good 5 years before I ever had it, and people were like, "What? You never had Chipotle? We had one for 5 years." I'm like, well, it was by the mall. I never felt like going all the way over there for it.
Yeah, there's definitely other things in life that I would say would be more shocking than like Chipotle. Like if you'd never had Wendy's or something, I'd be like, what? But yeah, I don't know. Chipotle is good. I am a fan. I give them a thumbs up.
I get a burrito bowl, but I don't get a burrito. But I get the tortilla because
Yeah.
I want to eat the tortilla. I just don't want the burrito.
You were telling me that
Eat
earlier,
it
and I thought
out
that
of
was
a bowl with a
genius.
fork and then just eat the. I do that when we go to Azul Tequila as well.
Sure.
I get my Azteca special, which is a bunch of deliciousness on a plate. But then I also order a side of tortillas just because I want to eat them.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I get that. So all in all, yeah, so far summer's just starting out, and gosh, I'm already having just a ton of fun. We had a great pride and great everything right now.
I spent too much time out in the sun, but yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't plan ahead and put on sunscreen like a smart individual would do
No.
because
but
I generally don't go out in the sun.
right.
Yeah, when you don't go out a lot, you don't think about it. Because I, for a long time, would forget too because it's like, oh, I'm working on it inside. But now that I'm outside, it's like I need to think about it.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. Well, with that, who would like to jump into our main topic, our main biscuit, if you will?
I think Amanda wants to.
Oh yeah. So okay, we're gonna
'Cause
start.
I started off the Mother's Day one.
Yes. So we're gonna jump into the main topic right now. So Father's Day. We're gonna start out with just giving a little bit of a background of our father and a little history of who they are and what they mean to us. And Amanda, would you like to start the party?
Oh, sure. So my dad's name is Brent, and I don't really know what to say. I have a lot of things to say, but I don't know how to start it in an eloquent manner.
Just start it.
He used to wear ankle socks.
No, that was my brother.
Oh. Talk about growing up with him and how you'd lay on his belly and all that other jazz.
So my dad and I did a lot of stuff when I was little together because he would watch me while my mom was at work. And I never thought about it because, as a little kid, but as an adult, my dad had said something about how he was really proud that none of us ever had to go to daycare.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made a light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why he always worked weird hours, because that way my parents could switch off, and that makes a lot of sense. And we had babysitters, but it was elderly ladies that we knew or whatever, and it was nice. So it's just one of those things where it's our parents do these things and we don't even realize it,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty cool. So my dad doesn't say I love you.
Okay. Okay.
He will say watch for deer.
Yes.
But I don't know if he said I love you when I was little, but I always knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So now as an adult, I'm did he say it? I feel like he did, but now I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he shows his love in different ways. So for example, when I think of, we've had exercises in different classes that I've had where it's think back to when you felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest thing, when I was little, when I would feel safe, feel safest and loved, was when I would get home from kindergarten. So my brother and sister were still in school, so it was just me and my dad. So I would get off the bus and he'd be home, and he would need to nap in the afternoon because he'd have to work later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And he would always let me watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Sesame Street, and I would lay on his belly, and I would listen to his heartbeat and listen to his tummy rumble, and I just felt really that was my happiest part of the day.
Yeah.
Every day was just snuggling with him and being with him. And we would go to Green Bay together because he'd have to run errands and go to Menards and Fleet Farm and all of that stuff. But he would always let us go to the bookstore, and he would let me pick out a book. And that was really, really special because he was very proud of me that I really enjoyed reading and I was good at reading, and he was always very encouraging with that. So that was always really special to me. And I would say my dad's a big reason why I'm a counselor, because his mom passed when he was 12. And he doesn't talk about it much, but like, I know it was really hard for him, but he would tell me stories when he was growing up, or when I was growing up, about when he grew up, like how he had a track coach who was really, really supportive of him and always made sure that he had what he needed for track, because he knew that he came from a family with a lot of kids and it was kind of a rough go. But this track coach was always really supportive and really encouraging. And my dad kept in contact with him like through his adult life and stuff. And he was very proud to tell, like he always told me how he ran, I don't know, some like 40-yard dash or something, like faster than any other 8th grade kid that like this track coach had ever seen. And he, like his track coach still would talk about it as an adult, like as he was, you know, with his kids, but like, oh, I've never seen an 8th grader run as fast as Brent did. And my dad was very proud of that. And just like hearing those stories, it was very important to me to be that adult for other people. And I wanted to be able to help other people like process through those really hard things that he didn't get a chance to process. So that was a big thing for me. And he was always very concerned that we all go to college and we all be in sports and we do all of these things. And it was a lot of pressure, but at the same time, like I'm happy that I did those things. And he was always really supportive of it. Like he went to all of our stuff and he showed up and he was there. And as we got older, like, and out of school, like he showed his love when I went to college by my first Thanksgiving break freshman year. So Eau Claire's 3 hours from where my parents live. And it was supposed to snow. So my dad told me he was going to pick me up. And I'm like, you're going to drive 6 hours when I could just drive 3? And he's like, yep. Just, you don't need to drive home. I'm going to come get you. Okay. I guess that works. And then in the summer, I worked with him at the paper mill that he worked at. And when he was on vacation, he would still drive me to work in the morning. Keep in mind, we started work at like 5 in the morning. So we would have to leave our house by 4. So he would drive me at 4 in the morning to go to work. And then he'd come pick me up 12 hours later. And I would ask him, like, Dad, I can drive myself. Like, why? What are you going to do in Green Bay at 5? Oh, I got errands to run. I got things to do at 5 a.m. Yeah. Yep. I'll be up anyway. Okay. So he would drive me, drive me there, but he was very protective, but still let us spread our wings. Like anytime I wanted to travel somewhere, he was the first person to say, yeah, you should do that. Like, go ahead. We'll make that work. So yeah, he's a good guy. He's a little rough around the edges. But he's a good guy. And Gary was the first and only person I ever dated that he liked.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I'll jump on that bandwagon and I'll tell a good Brent story. So when I decided I was going to propose to Amanda, she was studying abroad in Spain, and I was really close with her mom, as we had mentioned before. So I don't remember what it was, but like I went over there.
Sierra's birthday party. Yeah,
I went to their house even when Amanda wasn't there. So I let her mom know first. I'm like, hey, is it okay if I, ask Amanda to marry me? But I knew like I needed to ask Brent, but I just wanted to check with her first. And she's like, yeah, go and ask him. So he comes in she calls him into the room.
You big wuss.
And I say, okay, is it okay if I ask Amanda? And he didn't look displeased, but definitely surprised. And he threw his hands up in the air and said, I don't care what you do, and then walked out of the room. And then Amanda's mom immediately responded with, No, that means he's happy. So I think he was happy and just he doesn't do much for emotion. So
he's not very good at that at all.
But that's how I was given the okay to become a member of the family and whatnot. So yeah, that was a good time.
And he absolutely does care what you do.
Well, right. But I mean,
that was a lie.
They were nice enough to let me tag along to go to Spain to see you. So all in all, it worked out really well.
Yeah, he's a nice fellow. And as like when we had Seth, like my dad loves babies and babies love him. I think because they feel safe with him like I did. And he loved to cuddle with Seth when he was tiny. And he would bring him, he loved to take him to like different places. Like when he'd babysit, he'd bring him to like the park or some wildlife sanctuary or something.
They went to the wildlife sanctuary a lot in Green Bay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That was one of the places that my dad would bring us a lot. Bring us to a lot when we were younger too. It was the wildlife sanctuary, or we would go to the farm in Door County. So it's like a little petting zoo. And we went there a lot, and that was really nice.
It's more than a petting zoo. It's like it's a hybrid of a petting zoo / pro agriculture like education spot.
Yeah, it's cool
because they have like little baby goats and little baby cows and
chicks
and you actually get to like milk a goat and you get to feed little baby goats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was once we went there and there was like 4-day-old baby goats and they were so cute.
Yeah. But there's tons of literature and educational things about like the history of agriculture and why it's important. And they had those Belgian horses that are just fucking enormous. It's insane how big they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went there a lot, and my dad would like to take Seth there. And when Seth was in school and we lived in when we live in Eau Claire, he had retired already. So there were times when I would ask him like, hey, Seth is off of school and I don't have vacation. How about you come and visit? And he would and he doesn't like driving all the way over here so much anymore. Like he used to love driving, but I think as he's gotten older, it's a little more tedious. But he wouldn't want to come over on Sunday night. So he'd be like, what time do you guys have to leave in the morning on Monday? What time does he go to school? Okay, I'll leave in the morning and I'll get there by 7:30. So he'd leave like super stinking early in the morning to get here. But yeah, like it was never a question. It was just like, I'd ask him far enough in advance and he'd be like, oh, I got to check my calendar, but yeah, that should probably work.
Yeah.
And he's always happy to help that way. And he's making me a bookshelf.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had mentioned that I really needed a bookshelf and I can never find any. So this last time we went over there, he had me go in the garage and look, and it's beautiful. Like he's really good at woodworking and he can do so many different things. But in our family, we're not good at teaching. So like, I think a lot of things he thinks that we should just know because he knows it. And it's like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that sort of thing.
Yeah. So like when I was little, like he would always want to plant a garden and we would go and he would let me pick up flowers and stuff. And that was one of my favorite things to do, but I don't know how to keep any of them alive. But we would pick up flowers and vegetables and stuff and we would plant them. But then he would want me to weed, but he would say, don't pick any of my vegetables, like just pick the weeds. And I'm like, they all look the same.
Yeah.
So I would pick a couple things and then I would just quit.
Yeah, you didn't have Green Thumb Lisa to help you.
Yeah. I was not a good helper.
That's because she wasn't taught by Green Thumb Lisa's dad.
Yeah. No, I was taught by Brent.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he can keep some stuff alive.
I will say this: at
like,
least he was there, and at least he was doing stuff with you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He was always available, and I always felt safe with him. He's a good dad.
That's awesome.
And I'm the most like him.
Yep. For better or worse, you certainly are.
Gary is learning that he married Brent Jr.
I learned that like within the first year.
I know, but it's getting more. I'm turning more into my dad as the years go on.
Yeah. I mean, in ways, yeah, I can see that.
You're welcome.
Well, yes. Thank you. Next up, I suppose I would love to hear what Ryan has to say.
I have nowhere near the in-depth stories as Amanda because I did not live with my dad. But,
That's okay.
But there are certain things that I do and or say that I go, that's definitely a thing from my father.
Yep.
Not even, and so it's clearly nature and not necessarily nurture, because there are just things where like sometimes Carl and I are arguing about something, and or not even something specific where it's like a difference of opinion. It's like something like the way like I want him when you shower and you're gonna hang your towel on the shower curtain rod to like dry it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You need to spread it out.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
He'll just throw it up there, and I'm like, no, you need to spread it out. And he'll be like, oh, why are you always bugging me like that? I'm like, you know who my dad is, right? Like, there's certain things that I'm just right about, and you just have to deal with it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I'm sorry. That's just common sense.
So, you know, I'm like, I come by it honestly. I don't mean to.
No, I get that.
There are just times where I'm just like, or like I don't realize I'm saying it in a way that sounds like I'm being a know-it-all. It's just like, oh, sorry, I come by that honestly too.
Right. So I know you didn't grow up. You grew up more with your mom, but I remember like, you know, yours and my friendship and shared growing up together. I always remember like the times when Ryan would go off to be with his dad and stuff. So why don't you like fill us in on like the fun like Jersey? Where all did he live? Like, what's the full rundown?
Because it was he never lived in Jersey. That's where my stepmom is from.
Gotcha.
That's where her family
Okay.
is.
So that's how Jersey plays in.
Yes.
But then he lived in Washington, right?
So he lived in Wisconsin, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went to school in Arizona, lived out there for a long time. Then life happened. Married his second wife, had a kid, married his third wife with her 2 daughters, so my stepsisters. Then they moved back to Wisconsin for quite a while, but then, so that was like when I was in 2nd grade. And then I believe around sometime in 6th grade, or maybe the end of 5th grade, they moved back out. They ended up moving out to like Vegas.
Oh.
And they were there for until I was in 8th grade, and then they moved to Washington, and then they were out there for a long time. Oh, and there was California somewhere in there, but I never visited them there, so I never think about that one.
Mm-hmm.
California was between Vegas and Washington.
Okay.
And it wasn't for very long, but I never visited them there. Yeah. And then from Washington, they moved back to Wisconsin for a bit, and now they live in Florida.
Okay.
Because where my dad's job went, it worked out that now he's in a thing where he travels so much, he didn't need to be by the job.
Sure.
So they moved to Florida.
Now,
And like a semi-retirement village, not. It's like a gated community.
Oh, it's not like one of those swinger communities like on Bob's Burgers, right?
No.
Dirty ducks.
No balloon popping.
Okay.
That I know of. I could be wrong.
Well, you know what they say on Wicker Biscuit. We don't kink shame.
No. No, like my dad, I mean, I've had lots of conversations with my dad about like not being closer and stuff, but it's like honestly, it's okay. It's not like we have a bad relationship.
No,
or that
I get
we're
that.
like, ugh, but we're just very different people, and like I'm much more like my mom. So like I feel like there's just things that it's okay that I do tell myself I need to like message him more often and make that effort. But sometimes it's just like I haven't talked to my dad in like 3 weeks, you know?
Yep.
But he's a funny guy. He's a goofball.
Yeah.
And like he thinks of himself as a serious guy, but he's a goofball. There was a Christmas where I would have been like 12, and we wanted him to do something and he wasn't going to do it. And so we all gave him like pouty lip and went, oh, and then he mooned us. When he mooned us, we saw his balls. So then we were all like, oh my God. And my stepmom was like, oh, we saw more than your butt there, buddy. And he's like, oh, oops.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I'm like, yeah, that's something that happened to me. And this is kind of Father's Day-ish too. My grandpa at some point had like medical stuff going on, and it was like a cancer scare, and he was in the hospital. And while he was in the bed, like adjusting, or the nurse came in to do something, I don't know, but I just happened to like turn my head and saw Grandpa's balls, and I'm like, oh great, I saw my grandpa's balls too now. So after that, there was some relative who was like kind of a gossip, and she was telling my stepmom, well, you know, Carl had to get his testicles removed. And she was like all freaking out because she's like, why didn't she know that as the daughter-in-law? And I go, that's not true. She's like, what? I'm like, I saw Grandpa's balls in the hospital. They're there. Trust me. So I don't know if this gossip relative misunderstood something that was said or if she was just a liar. But
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I saw
Wow.
my grandpa's balls, too.
It's a thing,
It wasn't great.
I don't think I ever saw, and I'm happy
good.
with it. I'm happy with it,
I'm
but I don't.
pleased for you.
Neither one of my grandparents. I don't.
Well, and we play cards a lot when like my dad and my grandma and grandpa would get together, and we'd play golf, which is a game where you have like cards flipped over and you have to like slowly flip them face up, and you want less points. Fewer points.
We
Play
played
9.
We played a game like that called Play 9.
Yeah. It's probably pretty close.
Yeah.
And you kind of screw people over sometimes, right?
Yep. Mhm.
So like my dad told me, he's like, something about like suck my nuts. And he goes, the left one. And we both said at the same time, because that one hangs lower. And we're like, oh, it must be genetic. So that was quite funny. And the thing was, we said that it must be genetic, and then Grandma said, "Yeah, I knew that." Like, I don't think she knew what we were saying, but it was because they were like, "Oh, Grandpa's does too." So yeah, a lot of my dad's stories involve balls, but
That's okay.
Speaking of, this is.
we started with saying he's a goofball, so
I don't know if my dad really got this. Why I said this to him once, but the song "Glad You Came" by The Wanted, I call that the Father's Day song because. The sun goes down, the stars come out, and all that counts is here and now. My universe will never be the same. I'm glad you came. Because you exist, because your dad came.
Yeah. Oh,
the rest of the lyrics don't really apply, but
No.
that part does. And that's funny to me.
That is good.
And I don't know if he got it when I said it to him one time. He was just like, okay. I'm like, oh, Dad.
Oh,
Yeah, so I had young parents, so there was a lot of stuff with they weren't married long.
Mhm.
They weren't married. When I was born, I was at my dad's graduation.
yeah.
But I don't know. I always felt like he felt bad about things like that. And I'm like, I watch it. This is dumb, but like I watch so much TV that to me, it's like one of the things that watching a lot of TV teaches you is like, there's a lot of difficult relationships and things in people's lives, and you just have to be like, yeah, that's my life, that's fine, like this is like not everyone's close with their dad very much, or not everyone, or sometimes they are and then they're not for a little while and they are again. And that's kind of how he and I are. There was a period of time where even though I lived closer to my mom, I saw my dad more often, but she was super busy with my brothers being like preteens,
that makes a lot of sense.
all that stuff. But so it was like, I don't know. And there were a lot of Christmases that we got together at their house for many years in a row. So it was always like, oh, Christmas at Dad's.
Yeah.
My dad loves to cook like fancy dinners.
Mm.
The only problem is sometimes the fancy dinner takes all precedent over that whole day's meals. So it was like, I want to say Christmas Eve. And we had a little breakfast in the morning. But other than that, it was like cookies and beer, and dinner was going to be at 8, and it was like, oh my god, I'm dying. I want to eat food.
Yeah.
No, you gotta wait. It'll taste even better.
Like he'll do like a rolled pork loin and all this really wonderful, a lot of food that I wouldn't think of to make, but it's like, oh, it's so good. Like my first arugula salad was definitely something my dad made with like blue cheese and like oranges and shit. It's like, so good. But then he says things like, one time I said something, Carl and I are making mac and cheese. He was like, yeah, you got to have something like that once in a while. Like, one of those, like, he didn't say little kid meals, but he said something like something once in a while, every so often. I'm like, I have mac and cheese like once a week, Dad.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's so good.
Yeah,
Right? No, I guess I'm what some would consider like a simpleton when it comes to like the food and stuff, but
I think I
love
too,
it that way.
But I have so many cookbooks, and that's what bugs me is like I have so many things I want to try because I kind of have that itch like he does, where it's like I want to make this fun, but it's like working gets in the way of so much crap in life. It's like, ugh, can we just all have money?
Yeah. And if you ever want to, just to our listeners out there, if you ever want to give up like pretty much all of your free time, start a podcast. It'll eat up everything.
It sure will. My dad's the reason that I don't try new foods. Because when I was little, he'd frequently not wear a shirt, which grossed me out.
That even continued to when I was coming around.
Oh, 100%. Yep. Yeah. I am certain Gary has seen my dad in his underwear more times than I can count.
Than my own dad. Yes.
Oh, for sure. 100%. For sure, your dad. Yes. My dad loves to just be comfortable. And apparently that's comfort for him. But he would be shirtless at the dinner table and he'd be like, oh, you should try this, Amanda. It'll put hair on your chest. And me being a very little person, I'm like, I I don't want hair on my chest. And like, he's eating it and he is very hairy. So like, no, thank you. So that did not help.
No.
There, you know, like my dad also has a hairy chest.
My dad also has a hairy back.
But I feel like I'm hairier than he is because I remember when I was like 15, 16, he was like, oh, I think your arms are hairier than mine are. And I'm like, well, to be fair, I came from my dad's side of the family, which is a pretty hairy family. And I came from my mom's side of the family, which is a pretty hairy family. Like I was going to be hairy no matter what.
Yeah.
My grandma and I both have like ear hair.
Oh.
Hers is much more peach fuzzy. I have to like trim mine off because I do get like these ridiculously long ones, but
Mm-hmm.
we're a very fuzzy bunch.
Yeah.
One thing about my dad that I think is interesting is he and I have such vastly different interests, but we always have like the understanding, like, okay, Dad, as much as you like the Packers, that's how much I like comic books. And then he'll be like, oh, yeah. You know, like,
Okay.
he gets it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I remember one Christmas I had asked for all like graphic novels because for whatever reason I'd stopped collecting Superman for a while and then was like, well, I need to catch up. So all these hardcovers, they were cheap on Amazon. So I had like 10 of them. And my dad's like, something about like, oh, you got just books this year for Christmas. I'm like, yeah, but Dad, I just caught up on like 3 years of Superman comics in like one Christmas. Like, oh, there I'm caught up. I can read them all now. So he was like, oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
He used to always worry about me too, because like when I was, 6th, 7th, 8th grade getting into horror movies, he like said to me one time, I feel like you're just obsessed with death. I'm like, well, no, but kind of, because like that's what fairy tales are for, is to like deal with trauma that we don't actually have to deal with. That's kind of what horror movies do. It's like, I don't have to deal with the real death. I can just watch these fake ones. And
Yep.
so I was like, I mean, kind of, but I think human beings are kind of obsessed with death in a way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
it
so
was-
my dad and I have a interesting relationship, but it's nothing I would call bad.
No,
It's good, and we're very motivated by different things. So we
Sure.
sometimes don't have a lot to talk about.
no,
in
I
certain
get
ways.
that.
It's like, yeah. So there's this picture from when I went to visit them in Arizona when I was in 2nd grade, and it's me and my dad and my grandpa on like a bench at this touristy place we were at, and we all have sunglasses on, and it's just like my grandpa was still like young enough that he like looked like not grandpa-ish. So it's just like, who are these 3 studs on this bench? Because we're all like in sweats and like, whoa.
Nice. Well, now that you've wrapped up yours, do you want to? Do you have anything for Carl? Because I know Carl wasn't able to make it tonight.
Well, I mean, Carl lost his dad when he was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when we started dating, we talked about his dad a lot, and he still talks about his dad a lot. I think his dad is always kind of with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he always says things like, I always wonder what my dad would think about this, because he was not around to know,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's interesting to see that even the way, like, Carl's mom had Bob for all those years, and then Bob passed away, and like having Bob pass away, it's almost like, not that Bob was never there, but it's like you can tell that like the connection with Carl's dad was still way more.
Yep.
Because she still talks about him way more than she talks about Bob.
Yeah.
Other than occasionally cursing him out for, all the hoarding.
Well, anytime
As
anyone,
one does.
anytime anybody going through the process that she just went through,
Yeah.
I mean, they'd be cursing anyone out. So
She
I get
moved, and
that.
we had to clean out 2 storage sheds, 2 barns.
Yeah.
4
4 dumpsters worth, right?
Yeah.
Oof.
There was a lot of stuff in that house and outside of that house that was, and part of it is like, not that you'd have a bunch of stuff, but that you'd have so much of the same thing. There were like over 100 goose decoys.
Oh yeah,
What'd
yeah.
you
He
do
was
with so
big
many
into
geese?
hunting.
Why would you need that many though? When are you ever going to be like, I need to put all 800 of them out there?
I have
That would
one.
be something.
I have 1 turkey decoy. 1.
Yeah.
I don't need more than that.
You don't want 98 more?
No.
Weird.
I will say though, as
we need to get a barn.
as tragic as Carl losing his dad was, I feel like in some ways it made Carl more focused on being a happy adult and being a healthy
sure.
adult, and being, not that his dad was unhappy, but like the last 2 years of his life, he was in a wheelchair. And I think there was a lot of depression that went with that. So I
Yeah.
think Carl is always very on top of what his body is going through and what he needs to do to deal with this, and, being taking care of himself. And
Yeah.
so, not that his dad didn't
No,
take
no,
care
no.
of himself,
He's-
but stuff happened, and it was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And he always says, well, I tell myself I never smoked. I didn't quite drink like he did. There's things that he has done differently that he's like, I don't, because I've told him a long time ago, like, sometimes I worry that, because like people, I don't want you to like go out early like your dad did,
Mm-hmm.
But
No, I was just going to say, as far as like Carl, he's like super active in everything that he does. I mean, right now he's playing volleyball. That's why he's not here.
Right.
And he dropped something last week where he was talking about all the joys of that June is, and one of it was male wellness, or
Mhm.
so he's partaking in all of that. And no, just shout
so,
out to Carl.
Like,
and all
even though
that.
I've never met Dean, it's like I feel like I know him because
Mhm.
he's such a part of Carl's story, and Carl still talks about him and his extended family, like Aunt
Mhm.
Joyce and all that
Yep.
stuff. So like I know all these people that we always used to joke. I'm like, do you think your dad would like me?
See, and I've never even met Aunt Joyce, but I feel like I've met Aunt Joyce
Right.
just because of the stories from Carl.
You would have loved her.
Oh,
Although the
yeah.
cigarette smoke in her house did make your eyes burn after a while.
Yeah.
But
Well, up next, I suppose, would be me, but proxy for Courtney.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So let me tell you about Courtney's dad, who is also my uncle. I'm going to first just say things that are from my perspective. So it's from the nephew's point of view, but overall, it'll paint the picture of how wonderful of a guy Don Putnam is. So when I was little, I had very, very fond memories of Don being good to all of the grandkids on my dad's side. So when they would go traveling, and I would get like postcards from wherever they went, but it was both Don and Kay. So it was from both of them, but they were both awesome. But to this day, I still have postcards that they sent me, like one from Niagara Falls, one from somewhere else, where they would just write it out and send it because they always remembered that. And as I've gotten older, I know I'm not as good at it as Don was, but I always try to carry a little bit of that with me. And we go on vacations, I try to send stuff to nieces and nephews, but specifically birthdays. Every freaking birthday, I could count on it no matter what. I'd run out to the mailbox and there was a card from Don. So, I mean, he never, ever forgot. And it was just awesome that I could just always count on that. It was always there. Now, Courtney was kind enough to send me some pictures and stuff. So you've got we do have a picture that we'll put on the social media of, if you remember the story when Courtney took her dad's wicker and put it on the roof,
Mhm.
and then he climbed up on the roof and waved to traffic. We've got that picture. So there's that fun side of Don. He's a playful guy. But yeah, just an awesome human all around. If you ever want to meet him, just become a member of the Elks Lodge up in Rice Lake, and you might. So, if there's anything else that Courtney wants to throw out, we can possibly put it on the social media. But no, she's got a great dad. And my dad comes from the same darn place, so he's equally as awesome. I might as well just jump right into my dad. Well, actually, so I wanted to pause because, as listeners may have noticed, my segment got cut for time when we did the Mother's Day episode. So I do just have to do a shout out to my mom, but just thanks to both my parents for being there for me growing up. But since this is the Father's Day episode, let me jump into my dad quick. My dad's just an awesome guy. I'm definitely more like my dad. When I was growing up, my mom was actually in college when I was little. So my dad was always like working really, really hard. So I've got like very vivid memories of him. He would have to go for trainings all around the country for anytime they were getting like new systems or doing something new at work. He would need to get trained on the new systems. So I have memories of being gone, but just always being super busy and super dedicated to work. And I think that's where I get a lot of like my work ethic, although I don't think I'm nearly as dedicated as he is, but still I try. But yeah, growing up, as I've become an adult, I'm just a lot like my dad. So I can just sit and talk to my dad for forever and about everything and nothing. Yeah, don't really have anything else too specific to say. Can you think of any fun stories?
I can.
Oh,
One time we went to see the Harlem Globetrotters as a family, and I got to
yeah.
go because Gary's older sister didn't want to go.
Okay.
I think that's why.
I don't
And
know
it was
the
like,
exacts,
Jackie
but
got to bring a friend last time. So
oh
it
yeah,
was
so
your
I think
turn.
I got to bring a friend.
And before we went there, we all stopped at like Burger King. And for whatever reason, they were like, oh, well, Gary and Ryan will just share a big soda. When Jeffy handed it to us, he told Gary, now don't backwash into the straw.
Which I swear I did not do, but somehow I was labeled as a kid who did that.
Oh, they always tell everybody about that.
I know.
Yeah, you totally got targeted for
I
that.
still stand by that I didn't do that, but whatever. Yeah, my dad had the same sense of humor as me. So he would. Do you remember when we were in the bathroom? I think we were at Pizza Hut after a football game, and you and I were at the urinal, and he was behind us, and like he started like kicking the back of my knee, and I'm like, stop it! I'm going pee, get away. And then what did he do?
You said something like, I can't pee if you're touching me. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And he just started like rubbing your back.
Either way, he wasn't being like gross about it, but just pestering me enough where, because it wasn't like in a sick way. He was still standing far enough away.
Your dad is definitely the type where like he's very quiet and reserved, but he's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, and you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's amazing. One of my favorite memories, like I love when your dad thinks something's really funny. Like I love when Jeffrey loses it.
Oh yeah.
Like it just is so wholesome. And we had a hammock hanging outside and Gary was showing his dad and I was standing next to him. And Gary went over to the hammock and like tried to get in and it just kept rolling. So Gary just kind of like rolled out
right
of it. And it was a very graceful fall. But Gary's dad just lost it. Because it was so funny. Like just watching him in slow motion, like falling out of this hammock.
I have to say, one of my favorite things is when Jeffy loses it and just laughs his ass off. It's just so cute.
You know it's good when he starts to cry.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I get so that from him too. Like
Oh.
if I start laughing too much, I cry.
We had a friend. We all went sledding one time, and a friend of ours had a boyfriend who was just like, you know how it is when you're an adult, but you're hanging out with your parents or the like, and you're still kind of behave because you're, well, this boyfriend was just like one of those people who just every other word was fuck, which fine, whatever. But it's like not in front of Jeffy. Come on.
No kidding.
Right. So he's just like, oh, fuck. So sometime later, we were at a different friend's wedding and that friend with the boyfriend was there. And Jeff comes up to me and Gary goes, hey, should we go see how the fuck that guy's doing?
Yeah.
I think that's the only time I've heard your dad say that.
Yeah, he didn't really swear. He's the type of guy where, he would laugh because like there was a picture of me. I like to moon people. Let's just get that out there. So there was a picture where I was mooning the camera and like he would think that's funny, but he would never actually do it himself. Because I don't think I ever have seen my dad in his underwear, or if I did, it was like he was changing quick or something, and it was.
I can count on one hand like how many times I've seen him with his shirt off.
Yeah,
and we've gone swimming together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like,
so I mean,
he's not as freewheeling as my dad.
No, very very quiet, reserved, but just a good person and really funny.
Oh, super funny and just super duper kind.
Yeah,
those Putnam men.
Yeah, they're
good stuff. I would like to point out that Gary, the mooning stage was before me.
That's true.
It was definitely high school.
I was very surprised to see how many pictures of his butt existed when I met him. I'm like, oh gosh.
Luckily though, none were balls snuck into it.
No. I think like Walgreens probably wouldn't have given you those.
No, that's true.
Or wherever your preferred
Yeah, that's got to blow
film developer.
It's got to blow kids away today. It's like, what? You had to go and like Walgreens had approval of whether they would actually print it or not. But yeah.
We will not give this to you. There are balls.
Or they would put a sticker on it that said explicit.
That's true.
Oh, I never had any.
Me either, but
remotely.
that's what
I never had that happen. But yeah.
Interesting.
Well, on that note, shall we pass the father baton?
Ooh.
Lisa?
It's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so my dad rules. And this is what I have written down on my phone so I can read it because I'm a normal person.
You normie.
Yeah. So much like Amanda's dad, my dad is also hairy and has hair on his chest. And will say, you should eat that because it'll put hair on your chest.
Did you believe him?
No,
Oh.
but I was always like, I have enough hair on my chest, Dad. I don't need it.
I believed everything.
And he was like, you can always have more. I was like, no thanks. I've got boobs.
Yeah.
Like, nope. I'm good though. Thanks. He can make his ears wiggle.
Ooh.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah, and he his nephew had kids, and he would love at birthday parties when all the kids would get together, he would like make his ears wiggle, and they would be like, how do we do it? And he'd be like, you just do this. And he's like, look it, I'm going to eat all these pickles and this, and I'm going to do it. And so they would try it and they couldn't get it. And he's like, you got to take some pickles home with you. And then after the party was done, we call him my cousin, but my dad's called and was like, to my mom, can I talk to your husband, please? Yeah, Uncle, could you explain why my kids are loaded down with pickles and cold cuts in their pockets? And my dad just like starts laughing. And we're like, what is going on? And he was like, I told him if they would just eat a bunch of this stuff, they could wiggle their ears. And so they must have snuck it in their pockets before they went home. And yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. He has a very green thumb. I inherited it. My mom looks at a plant, thinks about a plant, is dead. But my dad and I, yeah, he has numerous gardens.
Does he talk to them and pray for them?
No.
That was what a lady told me. That was her secret.
My dad's secret is manure.
Oh,
That's probably more
it's like
solid.
it's like the opposite.
Yeah, it's
Prayer or shit.
my dad chooses farm animal shit every time. We live around farms.
Doesn't let you down.
And he's just like, hey, can I get some of that shit? And people are like, yeah, come and get it.
That's fair.
I don't know why, but that made me think of Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. Hand me some of that brown shit.
Yeah, he's got, let's see, there's 3 big gardens. And then he's got at least I want to say 4 raised.
Oh my
container.
gosh.
Wow.
4 smaller ones.
Wow.
Can he teach me to be a...
No.
I mean,
And
he can.
I'm not saying like no, like I won't allow it. I'm just saying I don't have a lot of faith in the two of us.
You'd be surprised.
Okay. I'll give it a whack, but I'm
There's
convinced
some things-
my thumbs are permanently brown.
I'm not going to touch that one, but okay.
I have hopes.
That's not
That
right.
sounds like a you
It
problem.
does sound like a me problem.
You'd install the bidet.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Install the bidet for me, Gary. I don't want brown thumbs either.
I have hopes for a green thumb one day.
You know what though? Plumbing skills, thanks to my dad.
My dad also has plumbing skills.
My dad's got everything skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
But anyway, I'm eating up your time. You go
No,
ahead.
it's okay. My dad, he's what I'd look like as a dude.
Nice.
I'm not
Nice.
even going to lie. I saw a picture that I think my sister had found that I guess it was him in high school. And I looked at it and just disassociated for a little bit. And then I looked in the mirror for a good 5 minutes and was like, wow. So,
Interesting.
because I know that I look like my dad. I know I'm
Mhm.
built like my dad. I just
Did
didn't.
that really solidify
That
it?
really solidified that.
Yeah.
I would always hear that I looked like his sister when we were around the same age.
Sure.
And so I got that a lot.
Mm.
But I was like, really? That's great. But then I saw this picture and I was like, yeah.
Mhm.
There it is.
Has your partner seen this picture?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure he has.
Did it
He's
have
into
any?
it?
He's into it.
He kind of doesn't have a choice.
Fair.
He's sticking with it.
There you
There you
go.
And when my partner, I do remember dating somebody that said to my dad, "Can I ask you a question?" And my dad said, my dad, dead ass, just said, "No, you may not have my daughter's hand in marriage." And he goes, I wasn't going to ask you that. And my dad's like, good. And my mom and I were just sitting in the other room like, well, that was awkward.
That's amazing.
And then my current partner did ask my dad's permission, and my dad had said, yes, it would be an honor to have you as part of the family.
Really?
Oh, that's much more welcoming than Gary's experience.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but oh, what a wonderful way. Yeah.
Yeah, considering you've met my partner and you're like, he's so awkward. And
he's wonderful.
He is wonderful, but he's wonderfully awkward as well.
Well, we are. I mean, I think to be a member of Wicker Biscuit, you kind of need to be a little bit wonderfully awkward.
Right.
Or at least be able to pull off awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're an odd bunch, but
But yeah.
That's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
My dad could have probably taken a lesson.
No,
sorry.
I don't think I would have it any other way, quite frankly.
Well, I mean, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
That's what we get.
You know how, Amanda, you said you were comforted
Mm-hmm.
with okay, so I would kind of do the same thing, except for me, it was when my dad would bounce his leg up and down.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was fidgeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I would
nice.
lean against my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like, that was so calming for me.
That
and
makes sense.
it drove my mom nuts because he would shake the whole couch.
My dad does that too.
And I was like, this is so relaxing. How can you not like this? And she's like, it just drives me nuts.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense now.
Right?
Knowing what we know now, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, my grandpa was the one to do that. I think my dad did that too when I was little, but it was...
My dad and my sister do it all the time. All the time.
Let's see. My dad knows cars. And I have on here, to be fair, he knows cats. As well. He has like 4 garage cats at this point, I believe, that he feeds. They find their way to him, and he just takes care of them.
In the country though, it's a great way to keep the mice away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a beautiful relationship. Amanda's parents had some mousers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good kittens. Well, they weren't kittens.
Well,
they're sweet.
They have inside cats at the house as well. But
my mom will die.
Oh yeah,
she's severely allergic. But my dad loves dogs, which she's allergic to.
My parents love
also.
dogs as well. It's just they don't have the energy, nor are they around.
That's fair.
I can call on him to help me with advice for fixing things, whether it be something with a car or the house, because we're one of the lucky few that gets to have a mortgage.
Yeah.
He knows how to fix things, which I mentioned, and make things work. An example of this is he has, and I called him about this earlier, a wood splitter that he's had for, I believe he said about 35 years.
I think that's what you said earlier, 35 years, yeah.
And when he got it, he seemed to imply that it already had a car engine in it, but he said, we upgraded the car engine, we gave it new hydraulics.
That sounds right.
And put a new box on it for the wood to lift.
You know, you need a mighty box to handle the big wood.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
And now he's got a smaller wood splitter, which I think he bought from a store, but he does not want to bend down and lift up the wood anymore and throw it into the bed of the truck or anything, or the trailer like that. So he made like a conveyor system.
Wow.
So that once the wood is split, he just pushes it up on the little belt thing and it goes up the little ramp and into the back of the trailer. Because he just,
That's so smart.
You need to like videotape that or record it. And
it's just interesting.
Like, I want to see it.
And he also clears everybody's.
Their snow?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Those are ways that dads show love.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about that too. Like when I was in high school, my dad, he would always wake up super early because my mom would have to leave early to go to work. And he would make sure the driveway was cleared. And he would start our cars and he would like turn the car around so you could just drive out rather than have to back up. And part of it was like, it was a pain in the ass because I would be far more likely to get myself stuck. But it was always so nice because he'd have our cars cleared off and like all ready to like just drive out, and it was just super sweet. And it's one of those things that you know.
He also showed his love by making sure I knew how to change a tire.
Yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah, my dad showed me how to change a tire.
The problem with this is because my grandpa showed me how to change a tire, but like it's one of those things. If you don't have to do it, I'm not going to remember what to do. You know what I mean? I'm like, anyone know how to change a tire? And my grandpa showed me once. I did it then, but that was 20 years ago.
My mom told me to call my dad.
There you go.
There you go.
Now I call Gary.
Yeah.
My partner calls me.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It all works.
Because he knows your dad.
Yeah.
I do it.
No, I know, but he knows that you learned from your dad. So
Yep. That's true because my partner is able to go car shopping with my dad.
Nice.
Yeah, that's something right there.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks volumes for his relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing. As much as I do love my father-in-law, I don't think I would ever go car shopping with him.
No one wants to go car shopping.
All my dad asks is that you kind of have an idea of what you'd like to look at beforehand, and then he'll go with you.
Now, but the more I think about it, like if my dad was to go with you, you'd be okay because he's
Yeah. My dad has. There are things that you want to do with my dad and things that
no. But
thank
just,
you.
I guess I didn't really think about it until just now. But like, if my dad wanted to take you out, I mean, you'd want to get my opinion, but you'd be okay with that, and you would trust what he has to say. Actually, I know he's gone car shopping with us before.
Yeah, and what happened when I was in college? Did my starter go out, or did I get a flat tire at the?
You got a flat tire
campus?
somewhere.
It was on campus, and I called you, and your dad came.
Yeah, because I was at work already, and I'm like, call my dad, and he left work and came, and he got his little. It wasn't an air compressor, but it was a spare tank that was already charged up, and he filled up your tire.
Yeah, that was when we first started dating. So, yeah.
Well, we were living together at that point, so we were engaged.
I thought it was before then, because I was on camp. I was still living in the dorms.
Oh, you were? I thought it was weird. I thought it was when you were living on Putnam Street.
No.
Oh, never mind then. I'm sorry. But yeah, my dad still would have helped you.
Yeah. No, there was a time that like he had to come. Or maybe, I don't know. He came and helped. I don't know. I have no memory. This is where that thing is that like Ryan had said earlier of like, Carl, sometimes I'm just right. Gary, it reminds me that I need to just not disagree and just accept that he's right about pretty much everything.
Oh, okay. Well, now I'm an ass.
No, it's true though. Much like how I don't trust myself with directions because I will get it wrong 99% of the time. It's fine.
Well, I know when I came out, I was out to my mom first, and then I wrote a letter so that she could read it in front of my dad and be like, what? So that she could act surprised as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was just easier for me than going, hey, Dad. And at the time I identified as bisexual, whereas now I'm just queer. And so she got the letter and she's like, oh, a letter from Lisa, because I wasn't living with them at the time.
Did you frequently send letters?
No, not at all.
So it was very special.
Yes, it was. It was like, what is this?
Is she inviting us to
Yeah,
something?
What was it? Fancy stationery?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It was just college ruled notebook paper.
Okay.
And I know that because that's my favorite kind to write on.
Yeah,
Thank
that makes
you.
sense.
And you can bet your sweet Biffy it was with a 5-point pen.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Black ink. And now I'm getting
Nostalgic.
now I'm getting excited.
Yeah.
And
Why don't we do a podcast
I don't know
on
why I love
stationery?
stationery so much. Like I walk through the aisles and go, I should buy some notebooks. What do I need them for? I don't know. It's just
I don't need them.
It's like-
I want them.
it's like the endless possibility of creative endeavors that could go into them, but probably won't. But they could. It's the promise of
I love to
Yeah.
buy journals.
Yeah.
I don't
like
journal
it.
because I feel like every time I journal, I'm like, I don't know what to write in here. Now I sound like a fourth grader.
Well,
what the hell am I doing
you-
here?
you know
I don't
how-
want anyone to read this.
you know how Tiffany and I are like in the future going to have our podcast.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
yeah.
bought a notebook for every season and wrote like episode names. Like I have all that shit ready. Like whenever we do it, I got the stationery ready because I
There
got
you
really
go.
excited about it.
Oh, I get that.
Nice.
No, I have a custom sticker that I put on my podcast notebooks, and Lisa has actually adopted the same thing.
Just out naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
sorry, Lisa.
it's totally
Back to
okay.
yours.
It's totally okay. And so she read it and she was like, "Oh," and my dad was just his reaction was, "I kind of figured."
So
I was
his
like-
reaction was a little bit like when my dad, I don't care what you do.
Yeah, basically. And I was like, and my mom told me, and I was like, "Really? He couldn't have just said that to me?"
Like, hey, Lisa, I see you.
Right.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah, I get it. There's a reason I needed to focus on car maintenance with you and not your sister, who we figure is going to marry off. Like, really?
Now I want to like ask my dad, like, did you expect me to marry off? What was-
Yeah.
I don't
He
know,
did.
but
He was hoping for it.
Yeah.
He's like, she's too expensive to keep around.
pretty sure both my parents thought I was probably hopeless in their my own special way.
It's all right. My dad likes to talk about
I think
flaky I am.
I don't think it wasn't at all the same day, but I think at some point, like after I had proposed to you, your dad made some joke about, "Oh, good, now you can have all the debt."
He knows.
Yeah.
I know when my dad walked my sister down the aisle, he did walk back to my mom and high five her.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
Oh.
when he and my mom got married, whoever married them, minister, whatever, courthouse officiant, whatever, they did the vows and the repeat after me thing.
Mhm. Yep.
And my mom did hers. And then it was my dad's turn. And he was supposed to do his recitation. And my dad said, "Could you repeat that?" And my mom got so angry. But that's just my dad's humor. So when my sister screwed up her vows, my dad started laughing so hard. And I started laughing, and so did my mom. Because we were like, it runs in the family.
Yeah.
It's just, who's a good puppers? Who's a good puppers?
Yes, Ruggles. Thank
Ruggles.
you.
Ruggles is a good puppers. Ruggles liked that story a lot.
She did.
There's nobody outside
Is
Ruggles.
Ruggles talking about her absentee father?
She is.
Oh my God, Ruggles' dad. So
Happy,
let-
handsome Jack.
Okay, that's enough, Ruggles.
Insert cut point.
No, we're gonna talk about Happy Handsome Jack right
We
now.
will. We
Yeah.
just have to.
Happy Handsome Jack was a beautiful boy, and he was such a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to the point, or let me tell you how special he was. Let's put it that way.
How special was he?
So Winter, the mom of
Mhm.
Ruggles, had many suitors, or at least
Oh.
one
She had
suitor.
two suitors.
She had two suitors,
Mhm.
and none of them would do.
The
But
first
then-
one, she was not interested.
Mm-mm.
She was like, no, thank you.
But then Happy Handsome Jack came along, and she said, "You'll
Well,
be
the
fine."
second suitor was like a younger male suitor. And she was just like, oh, no, this is, I am not having that. You are a baby.
Mhm.
I have standards.
Yeah.
And then Happy Handsome Jack came and she was like, yes, you shall father my children.
Mhm.
So that was basically the Goldilocks of dogs
Yes.
for her.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But Ruggles is like she has the almost identical markings and patterns of her mom, but she's got her dad's coat.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's a little fluffy, and she's just got beautiful fur,
Yeah. She's so pretty.
and she's just a sweetheart. Which she gets a lot of it from Winter, but a lot of it comes from Jack too.
Do you have photos of Happy Handsome Jack to put up on the socials?
Yeah, we have them somewhere on our phone. We can get them.
Yeah, we can take it from the Old Time Scotch Collie website thing.
Past that, I don't really know much about my dog's fathers, other than If you remember, though,
Maddie's
her dad was named Barney.
Barney and Bella.
We don't know anything about Barney, but we do know her dad was named Barney.
Yeah.
And didn't they like call her Bernella or something stupid like that?
Bernetta.
Bernetta.
Because she looked like Barney. And I'm like, that's a horrible name. She's so pretty. And that is like such a gross name.
Unless your relative happens to be named that.
Unless Bernetta is your child.
No, the
or
name
like
just
your
did
grandma.
not fit Maddie. Let's leave it. That's what it is.
Beautiful
It was
name.
gross for her. It just didn't fit her.
I know someone whose cat was named Hildegard. I
Really?
think that's a great cat name.
Actually, yeah, that is a good cat name.
Yeah.
Go back to Don Putnam. He had a cat named Heinrich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weren't all their cats named like...
Weird German names?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I think there's...
He was a very classy gentleman.
Yeah.
I do love Uncle Don's house. So Uncle Don loves fancy things. At least I think they're fancy.
But not like
antique things.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
more
okay.
like fancy, like of
Yesteryear.
yesteryear knickknacks and stuff. Not like
He has like,
$1,000 toilets.
right,
or
yeah,
something.
right.
No, it's
like his house is just this cozy little place.
yeah, it's like a
And
little cabin.
Yeah,
on a
but
lake.
it's like it's almost like a museum with all of his things displayed of like all these antique things. And he's so fun. Like he loves to tell you the history of the things and like his house in Bayfield, the kitchen table, like he tells us the story of the kitchen table. And if I had a better memory, I would remember the story, but it's like some great grandparent like built it and it was in a barn and they refinished it. And
yeah.
it's like a beautiful story. And I'm just like, oh, there's so much history in here.
And he's got a table that he made out of, I think either his I don't remember the relative, but it was another grandpa somewhere in the line. And that grandpa used the block to make boxes for cheese. He made little cheese boxes. And Don like worked out all there still are some markings from where it was cut in, but he made it nice and it's a little table now. And it's really cool.
And he's like so good at baking. Like I don't know, all those Putnams love to get up early and like do more in the early morning hours than most of us do during the whole entire day. Yeah.
Well, we've already kind of naturally slid into this, but since we did the main part talking about our dads, I just really want to open it up to any fun stories about your own dad, about another Wicker Biscuit member's dad, anything.
This isn't really a story, but I think a really good movie about estrangement between fathers and sons is the movie Smoke Signals.
Oh, yeah.
I just think more people need to watch that movie.
You know, Seth.
It's not really, I mean, the main crux is the father and son, but that's not really what the whole movie's about. But,
No, I know.
But it's a really good movie.
It is a good movie. And Seth really took to that movie. Like, I don't think he actually watched the whole thing.
Is
but
that the Victor one?
Yeah.
Oh,
So Seth would just go, "Hey, Victor," all the time to us.
My dad likes to drink brandy cokes and sometimes just straight brandy if my grandma's visiting.
Ooh. My dad did not really drink at all when I was a kid. As he's gotten older, he's grown a little bit deeper appreciation for beer, and we'll have like one beer now and then with like a meal. But when I was a kid, he really didn't drink at all. But they would keep beer in the refrigerator downstairs for when they had company. Now, for some reason, my friend and I thought it was funny to like pull them out and shake them up, and we'd put them back, which was pointless because he never opened them, so it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. But one year, when I was at church for Lent, we had to like say what we were going to give up. And I said that I was going to give up shaking my dad's beers before he opens them. And then it got back to my dad and he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So he's like, "All these people think I just drink all day." And he's like, I'll tell another fun story of a moment when I was younger and inadvertently I sabotaged my dad. So when my grandpa used to love giving me John Deere tractors for any sort of gift-giving holiday, Christmas, birthdays, whatever. So I collected a bunch of these little John Deere tractor toys, figurines, and he gave me this one when you pushed it down, it made a sound like the tractor was starting up, and then it kind of revved, and then it went going, and then it'd go, and then it'd go honk honk, and there was a beep. And I was like playing with it a lot, of course, and my dad's like, stop it, you're going to kill the battery. So anyway, when we were going back home, he grabbed it. I must have been playing with it, so it didn't get like put away. So he like grabs it quick, says we're heading out, puts it in his pocket, doesn't think anything more of it. Then on the way home, we had to stop at a wayside. So my dad is at the urinal, and there's a gentleman in there too using the facilities. Somehow he pushes on his pocket, and it sets off the tractor. So my dad's thinking, oh God, I hope it's not that loud. And then he hears the person in the stall next to him start laughing. So that happened. He was making tractor noises and playing with his tractor at the wayside.
Oh, God.
So my dad and I, when you get older and you start to notice things that you like never thought you would do as an adult, that adults would tell you about. So a long time ago, my dad said, well, I said something about pooping a lot or whatever. And he was like, oh, I go twice by 10 a.m. And I thought, that's insanity.
Yeah.
Like, I can't fathom that.
Does he drink a lot of coffee too?
I don't think so.
Okay, no worries.
But when I got to be like 30, 35, it was like, oh, I get it. Because like a lot of times if I have to go out of town for work, I go when I get up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually if I stop to fill up for gas, I'll just go again. Just like,
okay.
And that's by like 8.
Wow.
Yeah. But I was joking once because I said something about wanting to make a little log of when I pooped just to kind of keep track and see how regular I was. And I said, we'll call it the log. And he said, yeah, and then we can see if we match up. And I go, yeah. So then kind of as a joke, whenever one of us would poop, we would, not whenever, but quite often, we'd text each other TAS for taking a shit. So there's one time we were at this wedding and I went in there to take a shit. And I heard my dad talking as he walked in, like he was talking to someone as he came in and he was at the urinal. So I text him TAS. His phone goes, mer, mer, and he goes, is that you? I'm like, yep.
Have you guys switched over to Snapchat now for that?
No. Okay. It didn't take off. We only did it for like a couple weeks, but it was funny.
That can be helpful.
Yeah.
Speaking of dads and poop, my dad is very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. I mean, that
very uncomfortable.
makes sense considering, you and how you feel about poop.
I know.
Yeah.
But so one of my dad's favorite things is so my dad is a funny fellow, but not like especially funny.
Mm-hmm.
But like things that tickle him is when he's annoying other people. So for example, he will have a television program that no one wants to watch, including himself, but he is insistent that that's what needs to be on just to kind of irritate everybody. And he is just tickled.
If you don't know what we're talking about, look up the network Rural Farm Delivery.
Yes.
RFD.
Yes, he really...
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. My parents have to have the expensive satellite package to have RFD in his Westerns. So he likes to do that. So as my revenge as an adult, I know he is very uncomfortable talking about my ileostomy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My mom doesn't care. Like, no one cares. Like, my mom had to change my ileostomy when I first got it. Like, she's totally cool with it. But my dad is like so squeamish.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be like, "Hey, Dad, I have to go empty my bag. Do you want to see how full it is right now? do you want to look at it? Do you want to play with it a little bit?" And he's like, "Oh, just get out of here. That's gross." And I'm like, "But it's not. Like, this is just what happens. Like, this is how I work." Or like, I'll have to change it. Like, "Dad, do you want to help me change my bag?" "Oh my God, you're disgusting." And it's so funny because he's like, doesn't really get grossed out by a whole lot, but like
No, he
that,
doesn't. Yeah.
he can't handle it. Like, once he was at the hospital with me, and he does not do well in the hospital, which is fine. But like, I don't know, my mom must have gone somewhere for a minute. So my dad was in the room with me, and the nurses had to catheterize me, like just a straight cath. And they were like, "Oh, do you want to stay in here?" And he's just like, "No." Like, he couldn't get out fast enough.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, he's not going to stay in here. Like, oh my God. My mom would. Like, she doesn't care.
Right.
But like, my
Yeah.
dad's just like, oh, I got to go. I'm out. And I'm like, oh, that's like the fastest I've seen you run in a long time. But yeah, just funny because he just gets so grossed out. And I'm like, Dad, I'm really close to you right now. Look at how close my poop bag is to you. You want to touch it? And he's just so grossed out. That's the only thing I can do.
Well, my parents are like, okay, so at very early on, when my sister and I were like teenagers, they were like, oh, the girls are uncomfortable with the thought of us having a sex life. So we're going to talk about the fact that we have sex a lot.
Oh.
And they would still bring it up until we started not caring and or just fighting back.
Sure.
So my mom would be like, oh, your dad. And I'm like, really? Well, you won't believe what I did this weekend. And she's like, no, that's not how it works. And I'm like, oh, but it does. And this is how it's going to work.
Does she ever find out about the guy with the high profile job?
No.
That's a very nice way to put it.
Okay, just wondered.
Yeah. And my sister did, though.
Oh, good.
And my dad and I, though, are just kind of like, unless he's with my mom, and then he kind of just keeps everything in check because then he knows otherwise the natural balance will get out of order.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Then otherwise my mom is the chaos agent and my dad and I are just trying to hold on tight.
Sure. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's actually similar, I would say. And I'm not saying this is a negative because it's led to some fun adventures, but in my family, my mom's the chaos agent and my dad's the hold down the fort.
Oh,
If
my
she's
dad
a chaos
and I,
agent, then your dad is like Maxwell Smart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. With a shoe phone.
That's right.
see, and my dad and I just don't like people
Fair.
or leaving the house or talking on the phone
see, my
or
dad's okay
any
with
of that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad claims he doesn't like people, but he is a social butterfly.
But I'll tell you this, like, because I didn't get to go over my mom last time, I'll throw out a good mom story. But it dives into the chaos. Is when we were younger, my mom loves dogs. My dad likes dogs, and he'll like love a dog, but he's also okay not owning a dog because it gives you more freedom to go on vacations. You don't need to find somebody to watch the dog. It doesn't make as big of a mess. So he'd be okay not having a dog, but at the same time, he does love dogs. But my mom loved dogs. So my mom was allergic to dogs. And when I was in 7th grade, there was new medications so she could have a dog because for allergies, you know, they were just really coming about then. Up until that time, everything was drowsy. So then like the non-drowsy allergy stuff started coming out, and it opened up new opportunities. So she was just like, hey, we're going to get a dog. And she really drove that because my dad was like, no, we're not. And she's just like, hey, I'm going to tell the kids that we're going to get a dog. What are you going to do then? You going to tell them no? So then we got one, and our first dog was Oreo. And my dad didn't want a big dog, but Oreo was a big dog.
But she was a sweetheart.
Oh, she was. And when my dad first saw her, he's like, she's going to get big, and then closed the door. But then he fell in love with Oreo, and Oreo was obviously super smitten over him. So, yeah, it's just a good, that's where my dad was like the rock and my mom was the chaos, but in a fun way.
Yeah. I mean, my mom is very fun as well.
Oh, I took it that your mom was fun chaos.
Yeah. No, I was like, did I get that across? That my
No,
mom-
that's the way I picked it up on it. So.
And it's just my dad and I, once you get to know me and then you see me with my dad and you get to know my dad, you're like, well, that apple didn't fall far from the tree, did it? And yeah.
Am I the chaos?
You and I are a good balance,
Okay.
I think
I am the reason we have dogs.
we match each other really well. Like when I need that chaos to get me to come out of my comfort zone or do something, Amanda's that, but also we can reverse it. And so like sometimes when Amanda's like, we'll do this and this and this, and I'll like, we need to put the brakes on right now. Or when I'm being
That's
a
a real
curmudgeon,
bummer.
like, no, we can't spend money on this. And Amanda's like, we need to, because we need to build these memories. And I'm like, you're right. So no, we actually have a pretty good balance, but we flip flop.
Yeah.
But I am the reason we have dogs. I do
Yes.
ask permission, though.
I know, like
I did.
Yeah, Ruggles number 1, you guilted me hard.
Okay, that was a bad time. I was grieving. It was a bad time. Don't get a dog when you're grieving.
No,
it's just not a good idea. Sorry.
That's okay. I know. My dad doesn't like people, but he's very personable, and the ladies like to flirt with him.
Oh,
really?
Yes. Sometimes they'll just openly flirt with him right in front of my mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
So considering you're like the female version, like if you were a dude and looked just like him, you'd be like swimming in it, huh?
You would think so.
All right. Interesting.
You would think so, but no.
My dad likes to say that women want him, but it's not true.
I mean, I've witnessed.
It's not.
I mean, I've witnessed waitresses flirting with my dad, and I'm just like, what is going on?
Interesting.
That's my dad. Yeah.
I don't think anyone flirts with my dad. I do. One of my favorite things so my dad says he doesn't like people, but he's also kind of a gossip. Like if you tell him something, his whole family will know because he will talk on the phone with my one uncle and he'll say like, oh, he talks too much. And it's like, you talk just as much. This is why your conversations are 3 hours. But after I had my colon removed, he brought me to one of my follow-up appointments in Green Bay and we stopped at the pancake place to get breakfast. And he told, like, this is his way of, like, I knew he was proud of me because I had gone through all of this and, you know, like, but he can't just say that. So he tells the waitress why we were in town, that I just had this surgery, that we removed my colon, like, I told her all of these things. And I'm like, oh my God, like, why are you telling this lady this? Like, whatever, it's fine. Like, I'm not embarrassed, but it was just like, oh, geez. Okay, well, I'm happy that you're proud of me and you think I'm a strong person and blah, blah, blah. But can we maybe not tell the waitress at the pancake place? And now we need to give her an extra big tip because she had to listen to all of my HIPAA information.
There you go.
But yeah, we also used to get ice cream after work. That was also a very good memory.
My dad taught me how to pull tractors.
Nice.
Oh, my dad didn't let me use the lawnmower until I was in high school after I had my driver's license and only when he was home.
Yeah.
Only when he was home. And then my niece, who replaced me, which is totally fine. Like,
is it though? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It is.
I know.
Like, totally deserving. She's way more helpful than I ever was. But he let her cut the lawn when she was like 12. And I'm like, what is going on?
No, he read that right. He did. She has that like tough guy thing that your mom has.
She is very much like a version of my mom.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of why he loves her so much. Like, because she's
and I'm not saying
she'll go into those no vacancy places.
And you're not in no way
sure.
You're in no way a weakling. I mean, you're a very strong person, but you're not strong in that way.
Well, I think my parents also have always viewed me as kind of fragile because of my medical stuff. Because like I was in the hospital when I was 3.
Yeah.
3 or 4. I don't know. With a blood thing that was going on. So I think in that way, they were always very cautious of me.
Mm-hmm. And you tore your ACLs.
Yeah, but I told my parents I was just trying to get their insurance's money.
Oh,
like,
there you go.
Make the best, get the most bang for your buck. You're already paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought it was fine. I mean, it wasn't fun, but whatever. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I couldn't cut the lawn without him home. And then the next year he got a bigger lawn tractor and then I couldn't use it at all. So I got to cut the lawn one summer. That's it. Nothing else. And then my niece got to use it when she was like 12. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. That's fine. She gets to drive the side-by-side. I don't want to drive that. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to flip it. My sister and I did use a snowmobile once, like, on their property. And we were both adults, and we did flip over. Like, we tipped over.
Oh, my God.
We just tipped over. Like, oh, no. This is why Dad didn't let us do things.
Exactly.
I did almost run a 3-wheeler into the house. Yeah, he was right. He was right not to let me use his lawnmower. Sorry, Dad.
All right, we're back. We are back with a biscuit basket, my friends.
Woo!
So we're going to jump in and see who's got some good baked up biscuits for us. Should we start off with Ryan?
My biscuit's buttery.
Ooh.
So, sometimes things happen that aren't really consequential, but they just make you happy.
Yeah.
So earlier this week, Mr. Liam Kyle Sullivan,
Mm-hmm.
who has created the character of Kelly, went to a club and for the first time in years, live performed the song Shiz.
Oh.
And I'm really happy about it because I have that CD and I still to this day love it and just thought that, hey, it's Pride. I'm going to go do shoes at a club in New York.
That's awesome.
I think it was New York. I was trying to Google where it was at, but so it's been kind of going viral that, hey, Kelly was singing Shoes.
That is pretty
And
cool.
the best part is every line, all the people at the bar are like singing with it. It's
Oh, of course.
So good. So that's my buttery biscuit.
That's a lovely biscuit. I didn't know that
Yum.
happened. So thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
My biscuit
Yes.
is, so our kiddo's birthday was yesterday.
Hold up. Is it buttered or burnt?
It's buttered.
Ooh, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
So our kiddo's birthday was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were in the car, I do this like every day, but I always tell him that I love him and I try to tell him that I appreciate him. And yesterday we were in the car and he'll say, I love you back. But I said, buddy, I really appreciate you. And he said, I appreciate you too, Mom. And I just about started crying because I was just like, "Ugh, that makes my heart so happy. And yeah. And actually, I want to tell a little bit about Gary as a dad.
Yeah, I am a dad. Yeah.
Because it
Mhm.
makes my heart really happy to see him as our kiddo's dad.
Aw.
And there are times that it makes me really happy to there was one day when Seth was really struggling with his friends and he went and talked to Gary about it.
Yep.
And it was really beautiful. It just made my heart really happy that he went and talked to Gary, and Gary is so much more patient than I am with certain things.
With certain things, yeah.
And it just makes me happy. I love seeing their relationship grow and how it is, because he's
Thank you.
such a good dad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, it's my buttered biscuit too, then. Well, Lisa, do you have any
I
biscuits for us?
have a buttery biscuit.
Ooh.
I went to a Pride event for the first time in over 10 years, and I got my library card at that event.
That's
Yay.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that you can get a
Mhm.
library card there.
I know, and I love that I got my library
Mhm.
card
Yeah.
because why else would I go to a Pride event?
Right. No, it was a great thing.
I know.
I hope
I
you read
just,
some banned books.
I'm gonna.
Good.
I love that the library goes to events.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ugh.
I do too.
Makes my heart so happy.
Good time. Well, I think that leads me into my biscuit. I have a very buttered biscuit. I had something weird come up where I had to go all the way to Edina, Minnesota to do lab work, which normally would suck, but my good friend Lisa came with me.
What?
And it was awesome because we just did a little mini road trip and I got to take Lisa to Popeye's Chicken for the first time.
Ooh,
Yeah.
love that chicken from Popeyes.
Oh, and it was a good time. It did not disappoint. It was a good time. So yeah, that was my very buttered biscuit. And driving around the cities with Lisa is actually really good because she's like
I make playlists.
she does great playlists and she has calm energy. Because there was times where I'm like, oh, I'm sorry about that bump. And she's like, we're good, go.
Your car is very smooth.
So yeah, it was a good time. And I'm going to close this out, guys, with a surprise.
Ooh.
We have yet another listener submitted biscuit.
Oh.
So unfortunately, it's a burnt biscuit.
Oh.
We have a burnt biscuit from Patrick S.
Oh.
He says with our cereal episode, he was upset that we talked about the cereal Crave for like 2 seconds and then just moved right past it.
Oh.
So to make up for that, I have a surprise for everyone.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
I have here a box of Crave cereal, and we're all going to try it right now and talk about it.
Ooh.
This makes me happy because Patrick S., I'd like you to know that I saw your comment, and when I was looking in the cereal aisle, I sought out Crave, and I found it, and I was like, "Oh, I really want to try some, but I'm not going to buy it because I don't eat cereal, and it's not on sale."
That's a good crinkle right there. Okay, so
Ooh.
You're a good crinkle.
Brian, this is for you.
So we are
They
not
look-
eating it with milk.
They look kind of like.
I invite you to try it with milk later, but for
Oh.
now we're just going to do it
We're going to
without.
raw dog it.
We're going to
Oh.
raw dog this
All
cereal.
right, well, that's fair. I will say that Seth did try some, and he was very pleased with it.
Thank you.
Right. So right off the bat, it looks a little bit like a dog treat to me.
yes, exactly what I was gonna say. It's
I
like
think they look
it's
like little raviolis.
But I don't mind it.
It's like,
Ooh,
oh no,
I
no,
smell
the chocolate.
Because I'm weird and I like food that looks like things you shouldn't
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah.
So like we said about the cat food with Lucky Charms or blue Kool-Aid, like,
Yep.
oh, it's Windex.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. All right, so I'm going to dive in here. I can't even. That's really pleasing to me.
Yes.
it's like the way, and I mean, I'm sure it's different when you have milk on it, but I can tell it would be good with milk. But the way like the outside is kind of like Captain Crunch, but not quite as
Yeah, and it doesn't cut up your mouth.
Right.
It is nice. It dissolves nice in your mouth if you don't
Yes,
want to
it
chew
does. Yes.
No, I thought that too. I thought it had like a little bit of a Captain Crunchiness to it.
But better dissolvability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way to go, Patrick S.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick.
Honestly, this is a phenomenal
I don't
choice.
think I ever would have tried this otherwise.
And honestly, I think it's like one of those cereals where like if you just grabbed it on the go and you would raw dog it while you're on the go, it is really
yeah.
good for
That
that.
was
It's
my-
a good treat.
That was my inner Frank Reynolds. Sorry.
Have this dry like in the car, just like with like a bottle of milk.
It's
Yeah.
way better than Cheerios in a bag.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
love
freaking
Cheerios.
love this.
Like,
And
as a
the
snack,
family
but-
size, of this was on sale at Woodman's. Shout out Woodman's.
Thank you.
Thank you, Woodman's. So we've got plenty of Crave cereal.
And it has 7 vitamins and minerals.
7.
Perfect.
Made with 14 grams of whole grain per serving.
Ooh, thank you, Patrick S.
Thank you, Kellogg's.
Yeah, them
yep,
too.
Yep, this is a Kellogg's brand. But all in all, this is a win.
I think they
Speaking
have
of
a double chocolate.
They do.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a fudge brownie.
Yeah.
Amanda and I did just watch the Unfrosted movie last night, and it was okay.
Cereal, Cone Central, Sabor, chocolate.
It was good. It was good. But then, because I'm like a big nerd, I had to look up the history, and Kellogg's kind of did fuck over Post.
Yeah.
It was actually like a really shitty thing they did, but
I ate a lot of Pop-Tarts in college,
yeah.
and then I couldn't eat them for a long time.
Yeah. I bet this would be good in ice cream.
Oh my God.
Ooh,
Right?
yeah.
And because we're wearing headphones and we're talking into the mic, this is kind of like delicious dish.
A little bit.
This Crave cereal. I really like it. What do you think about it, Lisa?
Good times.
Great mouth feels.
Oh, it's got great mouthfeels.
It's got a real good crunch.
Nice dissolvability.
Mm-hmm.
I get why they named it this, because sometimes I crave it in my mouth.
You know what else you crave in your mouth?
What?
My sweaty balls.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Good times.
Good times.
But it's like a gusher. It's like if it but like not. Because like it's got that fudgy middle, and it's not like solid. It's like creamy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a cereal gusher,
Mm-hmm.
but in a great way.
Could you imagine the people who are making Pop-Tarts if they knew that this was going to come around the bend?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My life is richer for trying this. So shout out to all of our listeners. Please submit this stuff. We will try it on the air, and if you want, we'll give you credit.
If you want,
If you don't
anyone-
want, we'll just keep it anonymous.
if you want to hear me chew some more cereal, please bring it on. That's like the one food I can try.
Yeah.
I just am sucking on this till it dissolves in my mouth
That's also pleasing.
so I don't crunch in my ear.
It's a little bit like the Eucharist.
Yeah, I was going to say shout out to the church episode, Lisa and the Eucharist in her mouth. Could you imagine if Eucharist had a little fudgy center?
Mm. That would be slightly unsettling, I think.
What if
Delightful, but also unsettling.
What if
Body of Christ. What?
What if
This one wasn't completely dried out.
I took the blood of Christ and made a wine jelly out of it, and that was in the middle, so you'd get the body and blood all in the same
Oh,
It
shot.
very
would be a
efficient.
gusher.
Very efficient.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably burn in hell, but whatever.
I don't feel like you would.
Mm.
I
No?
think God
You don't
would.
think
You're
that's sacrilegious?
following the rules.
God gave you this
I don't know if you're
creativity.
allowed to take the blood of Christ and make it into a wine jelly.
Why- I don't.
I was, but
Why not?
isn't that what the church is? When you're like a wine
Regulates well.
jelly?
Yeah.
So I was so confused.
Well, now I feel like I need to reach out
But
to a
I
priest.
have made wine jelly before. It's delicious. Yeah,
That's what got you on your jelly kick.
it actually is what got me on my jelly kick. All right. On that note, any other things you want to shout out about Crave?
Now I really need a bowl of it.
Yeah,
With, like,
we'll
milk.
We'll go upstairs and we'll try it with milk, and we'll do the full experience, and that'll be in the social media. So look for that, Patrick S. And thank you for sharing. All right, guys, how about we close out this Father's Day episode? Could I have you guys say? There's a little toot if you heard that. I don't know.
Which is perfect for Father's Day if you know my dad.
Yes,
Oh,
indeed.
my dad too.
And mine.
My dad wasn't a big farter person, but he's the person that would laugh at fart jokes and fart stuff. So yeah, it's very appropriate for mine too. All right. So how about we all say goodbye to the audience?
Bye-bye, audience.
Bye-bye, audience.
All right. Hope you guys had a great Father's Day, and thanks for listening. Catch you later.
Thank you for listening to Wicker Biscuit, a Podcast Ahoy production. The producers of Wicker Biscuit are Courtney Holub, Ryan LeMay, and Gary Putnam. Assistant producers are Amanda Putnam and Lisa Rudd. Recording and editing is done by Gary Putnam, with Lisa Rudd as the assistant editor. Executive producer of Wicker Biscuit is Gary Putnam. Check out our social media for updates on upcoming pods and for clips and other media referenced in this episode. Links and information can be found in the episode notes. Thanks again from everyone at the Wicker Biscuit family.